All right, Lee. Let's take a peek at that heat map. And of course, there's always news out here, but where did you want to begin this morning in terms of headline news off the top?
Yeah, let's start with overseas in Asia. Beijing is now relaxing coronavirus restrictions to allow more foreign carriers to fly to the mainland after Washington, I think it was yesterday, retaliated against China's curbs on U.S. passenger airlines by barring Chinese airlines from entering the U.S. effective June 16th. The new regulations here from China are qualifying foreign carriers currently prohibited from offering any routes to China will now be allowed once a week flights into the city of their choice starting June 8th. So, little tit for tat going on there, but doesn't look like
Mm-hmm.
it's turning into too much. Um, okay, the big news is in the Eurozone today. The ECB's decision. They basically doubled almost the size of their pandemic emergency purchase program from 750 billion euros to 1.35 trillion euros. And the futures, which were down, rallied on that, as well as the news in the Eurozone that Angela Merkel's coalition agreed on a huge $130 billion, billion euro stimulus package designed to spur consumer spending. That was exceeding the top range of what they were talking about. We talked, yesterday maybe it would be like 70 to 100 billion, and now
Mm-hmm.
it's 130, so 30% greater. So the futures went up there also, but then the futures rolled over when the U.S. jobless claims came out. They were higher than expected. Specifically, initial claims uh, decreased by 249,000 to 1.877 million, but the consensus was looking for something less than 1.8 million. So anyway, kind of a mixed news, but not all too bad. And there's, I don't know, did I miss anything?
I know that we had the press release this morning from Charles Schwab actually that we can just mention that the DOJ did clear the Schwab and TD Ameritrade merger. So that's the extent to which we can speak about it today, but that has been accomplished. So one hurdle down.
All right, let's move on to stocks in the news here.
All right. I'm looking forward to that. Where do you want to begin?
Well, the White House has the Operation Warp Speed, which is the kind of fast track development for a COVID vaccine.
Hmm.
And they picked 5 companies for further trials in this thing. So let's look at them. They are Moderna.
All right. Been hearing a little bit about them lately, haven't we?
Yep. So anyway, they had a retreated to the 50, but they bought it right up. Seems to me that is something to keep an eye on, then that 50-day moving average. Let's see if we can pop back above the 20 at some point. You're thinking of getting back into that one. I think that would be maybe your trigger. If it
Yeah.
can go above there and close above the 20-day moving average, which is the orange line on the charts.
Yeah, that'd be a good spot for me as well. I would agree.
Yeah, the next one was AstraZeneca, AZN, next finalist. Looks a little better.
Yeah, holding the 20 here.
Yep, holding the 20. I think that is what you would use right there. Keep your eye on that.
All right.
The next one was Johnson and Johnson.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's kind of a choppy chart.
It is, but a
Looks like we
really,
have a little downward channel from the high there.
yeah, and the rounding of the 50 day is pretty interesting. The way that that is coming up to support the bottom of that channel, Lee.
Yeah, so I think that is what you would keep your eye on to manage your risk there if you decided to go long.
Yeah, anything, yeah, movements below the 50-day change the look of this chart quite a bit.
All right, next finalist. This is kind of like the Oscars, right? And for companies making the finals in rearm, the next one is Merck.
All right. No envelope snafus here, Lee.
Yeah, there we go.
Merck rallying into some resistance near the 200 day
200
here.
day.
Yeah,
But
there's some area here.
yeah, good support though. Coincident 20 and 50-day moving averages down there around 78.
Yep, 78 and a half. Yeah.
Yeah, I do have resistance at the 200 though. All right, and Pfizer.
These are all the big boys, aren't they?
Yep. Hmm.
That looks decidedly less exciting, being below the 200 day for the last, well, basically this week,
Yeah, I think to get
and the
excited about
50.
that one, you'd have to take out the 200 day and that resistance line.
Yeah, it was support at the beginning of the week, Lee.
Hmm.
It didn't work so well, obviously. It's really struggling even against the 50-day here. You can see it hasn't recaptured or held. It's dabbled around it, but yeah, I agree with you. I like all this until it's back up above 37, perhaps.
Yeah, so between all those companies, there'll be
Hmm.
30,000 people taking part in phase 3 trials. Um, Now, let us take a look at the ones that didn't make it.
Okay.
Two big ones didn't make it. GlaxoSmithKline, GSK. Doesn't look.
Yeah.
It's got
You
the
know,
200 on a lot of these, huh?
seems like a non-event for a lot of these, at least on the
Yeah.
initially here. But yeah, the 200 looming for sure.
And the other one was Sanofi, SNY.
Hmm.
They're kind of up on the news.
They're up on news, if you could say that it's on news. Um, yeah, good support down here at this 47 ledge, Lee.
Yeah. Actually, the charts we looked at, this is one of the
I
better
know.
ones.
I know. That's pretty interesting, isn't it? Yeah, good RSI too out of this. What we're seeing from it too. So
All
yeah,
right.
interesting.
Other stocks in the news?
Yes.
Sienna, CIEN. This one's been on a tear. Let's put up the 10-day on this one.
Yeah. Let me zoom that in a little bit. There you go.
Yeah, look where they bought it up today, right there.
Right on that. Yeah. Like those tails where they do that.
Yeah, so the news here was they beat by 24 cents and they had inline revenues. No mention, though, of guidance one way or the other, but it's in an uptrend
Okay.
until
That it
proven
is.
otherwise.
That it is.
Uh, this is kind of interesting. We talked about the gaming stocks and the
Mm-hmm.
BJK. So Caesars came out and their CEO reported that they have much stronger than expected attendance at the Vegas casinos that have reopened.
I mean,
So there you go.
I'm
Look
not
at
at
that.
all surprised by that. Are you surprised, Lee?
No, there's a lot of pent up demand. Look at that 10-day acting as perfect support,
Wow.
and now we're above the 200. We'll take a look at the BJK later when we do the sector review, but this
Sure.
is this
Wow.
is pretty
Hmm.
cool. It's a
Yeah,
good
you're
one.
right about the pent up demand, Lee. I was driving around yesterday and one of the restaurants in the area opened up and it was jammed. And I mean jammed. Outdoor patio, outdoor bar, all of it jammed. So,
Yeah.
mm.
All right, Navistar,
Is that NAV?
NAV. Yep. So still mired below the 200, but you'd have to say we just made a higher low yesterday. from the one that
Hmm.
tested the 50-day moving average. Uh, Looks like we could drift up at least to the 200-day. The news was they beat by 1 cent and their revenues were stronger than expected.
Yeah, and I like what you're getting out of the RSI. Retreats have come to the 50 line here, Lee, holding that level on pullbacks, being bought up once getting through it. So this looks interesting along the 20 as well.
Yes, indeedy. And then one that I know you've been following, NIO,
Hmm.
and you know the news on that one.
Yeah, they had some pretty stellar sales numbers for the month. This was pretty surprising. They came through with 215% growth on a year-over-year basis. Number of vehicles delivered in the month of May. So that's pretty good. I mean, when you can improve this May versus last May by 200+%, this market's going to like that. So another 5% move today. This thing has been on fire, Lee. Look at this.
Yeah,
Just look at that right here for the last week and a half. Just been really, really a technical darling.
yeah. All right. Now, yeah, let's look at Schmuckers,
Okay.
SJM.
With a name like that, it has to be good, right?
Yeah. Oh dear, they rejected at the 50 though. Look at that.
Sure is. Yeah. And a nice
Uh,
down sloping retreat to the 200 here, really.
yeah, they beat on earnings and revenues, but their guidance was not what the market wanted to hear. So that's why it's selling off.
Interesting tail, like you said there, Lee, right to the 50. And then you get the rollover of the RSI to come with it. So
Yeah,
not ideal there.
no. We looked at the financials a couple days ago.
Hmm.
Let's take a look at Wells Fargo. They were upgraded to a buy at Deutsche Bank. So it's not quite as strong as some of the peers, though.
Did make a new short-term high here.
Yeah, so you got to say that.
But I'd like to see it get into a little bit more gear. But there's some better looking charts perhaps in the group.
Yeah. Speaking of financials,
Mhm.
Deutsche Bank also reviewed Goldman Sachs, and they downgraded it from a buy to a hold.
And they said, "Feh, we're
They
going
said,
higher."
"We read your other analyst reports, and we don't believe a word you're saying." So there you go.
Mm,
Looks like the 200 is in play now for
yes,
risk
indeed.
level.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, and then Wedbush reiterated their outperform on Chewy.
Nice looking chart,
Nice,
Lee.
yeah, it is.
Wow. I mean, these guys get some of my money, that's for sure. My dogs are medicated, so I need some help.
Yeah, yeah, there's good support, I would say, at the what is that, about 45-ish,
Yeah.
46? Yeah, right in
Yeah,
there.
right at the breakout here.
Yeah,
That looks sound, and then another real sound down here at about 39. You got a couple of good levels to work with here. The 50, the upslope to the 50 looks tremendously favorably. I mean, that looks really, really great.
yeah. All right, PayPal has been on a roll. More news on them. Bernstein
Good.
reiterated their outperform rating. Watch the 10-day there. You want to probably use a close below it, as you can see. But you also got really good longer term support. Look at those three lows at making that gap. That is major support there.
Right here.
Yeah, right.
All of
139.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah, we don't even probably need to look at this one anymore. We can just, because if this one gets broken, then everything changes once more. But that is very good support. Yeah, I agree.
yeah. Nice looking chart there. Maybe
Hmm.
use the 10-day if you are using a moving average. We do have a question from Ray in Arizona. Can you set stops based on moving average levels like automatically? No, unfortunately, not yet.
Oh man, it's at the top of my list though.
Yeah,
Just
it,
set it against the moving average with a delta of X, however much below it or above it, percentage wise. That'd be really, really great. I'd like to see that, Lee.
yeah. They know it all about it. It's all right. And then here's another one. Used to be an IBD favorite, United Rentals, URI.
Oops.
Nice 10-day, giving you guidance on this one. Running up to a little bit of resistance up there, probably about what 155-ish from the highs back in February.
Mm-hmm.
But nice looking charts. Goldman came out and reiterated their buy recommendation on them. Looks like that might be the next target, 160-ish.
Yeah. And that's still 10 points. Wow.
Yeah, for sure. All right, with that, I'm done. I'm going to turn it over to you
Well,
for, we had that sell-off. It lasted all of about, what, 5 seconds?
it didn't take much, did it?
No.
And basically, as we got through all of the stocks in the news here, things started to improve. So just listening to Lee and all the dulcet tones just really soothed the market here, Lee. And
It did.
everybody,
Looking for that pullback. Usually pullbacks are measured in days. They're measured in minutes these days. The old
feels like it.
pain FMO trade.
Mm-hmm.
We've had some real buying in the market too. Looking at the open interest on the E-mini futures, the last couple of days, we were up. Like yesterday, we were up. Open interest was higher, and the day before, when we were up 500, the open interest was higher. So looks like we've moved from short covering into some real buying here.
Yeah, can't really argue with it, Lee. Look at this move off of. So you opened weak here. You didn't test the S1, bought up, got into the pivot, broke the
Now above the
pivot and
pivot.
tested it, and now you're breaking the pivot with conviction. This is the kind of move you're looking for as we speak right now. That's a heck of a candle in this
Yeah.
5-minute window, Lee. So the breakout here, everybody, that Lee, you love to talk about the 5-minute bars and the necessity of making new short-term highs and then maintaining the pivot. So you get a nice little
Right.
throwback test as you got here. This was really one of those textbook examples of testing short-term support on a pivot point and then getting some buying after that. So the S&P continues to look sound. I really don't know what else to say other than monitor the 10-day and utilize the 10-day in the short run, at least as a spot where you'll start to lighten positions with closes below the 10-day. You would just pay attention to that. Doesn't mean you're exiting. It just means you're monitoring and managing your trades effectively. That's what we're looking for here, especially because now, even though things are strong and things feel good, we don't want to become blinded to everything. We can't go too far down that path. We have to continue to manage it. Otherwise, complacency sets in, and that's when we'll be in real trouble. Then you get surprised, and then you're booted out of your positions unnecessarily. We don't want that. So
I do notice that another bull market signal flashed here where the RSI has now gotten to overbought, which is bull market behavior. The last pullback didn't even break 50. So
and they tested it beautifully.
Yeah.
It's exactly what you want to see.
Well, we talked about that over and over, that the bull market behavior is rallies take you to 70, pullbacks don't go much below 50 to 45, versus bear market behavior where you can see you get rallies. They didn't really do much for quite a while, but now we switched that. So yeah.
Some interesting stuff, Lee. I never get bored looking into stuff and talking about it.
Yeah.
All right, let's check out the NASDAQ here. And we had, yesterday was interesting to me, Lee, because it was a bit rotational in nature. The laggard yesterday was actually the Nasdaq 100. We had a massive move day where all the indices were super duper strong, and it really was like the Nasdaq 100 just was like, we've been leading. We can take a breather and let everybody else pull the weight today. And so even though this chart looks really fantastic, what are you going to say about the 10-day other than stick with it here, Lee?
Yep.
The 10-day continues to be really, really strong support for us as we continue to try and get back to that prior all-time high. And that stands out to a lot of people, Lee. The idea that we can be testing the all-time highs on the NASDAQ here, as early as tomorrow, perhaps. I don't know. Isn't it? I mean, it's certainly right there.
That's right. I think the Q's just made an all-time high, if I'm not mistaken.
Take a look. Gosh, and that is just so crazy to so many of us.
Yep.
Yeah, sure enough.
They did.
Yep. So
A little bit, but they did.
and this is where we get back into the philosophy of the whole process, right? You may not believe in it with complete conviction, but that's what your orders are designed to manage for you, your stops and whatnot. Your exit strategy should keep you in a comfortable position. It's been difficult to understand why we necessarily continue to run out of this, but we are. And you go with it while you got it, because man, fighting it hasn't been working, that's for sure.
Yeah, I don't believe the rally, but I'm enjoying it. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
I have stops in there just in case it finally gives up, but
Yeah.
it
Well, at some
hasn't.
point it's got to, right? I mean, at some point there's going to be something will break that will at least lead some momentum. I just don't know what that's going to be.
Yeah, well, but they say that huge spikes in COVID cases coming back because of all the protests. People were together. I suppose that
Yeah.
could do something. But
Yeah.
until then, just ride the wave.
Yep. I'm fine with that. The Russell, a relative strength outperformer in the most recent few weeks here. Russell yesterday had a nice day, almost challenging the 200. A little bit of a breather here today, but what are you going to say other than this thing continues to look, pretty good, better than, much of what we've been seeing from it. So we talked a little bit about its price relative to the S&P yesterday. So you can see that it's actually done pretty well along this bounce back. So now
Yeah,
yesterday we talked about this because of the financials, right?
right. Yeah, they were
Um,
on fire yesterday.
yeah, and you know what? It's not exactly slowing down today as I show you the 10-year breaking again.
Yeah.
So this is giving that bid to the financials
Yeah,
collectively.
maybe finally the bond market is saying that maybe this recovery could be actual.
Maybe. That's the
That's it.
first, it's starting to get to a spot, Lee, where that's the first time we've heard from the bond market in that way.
That's right. Last couple of days, a little bit of confirmation for the rally.
Yeah. And so let's talk real quickly about the TNX, because we just yesterday talked about the importance of this ledge, just
Yep.
this one. And
And
now we're through it.
yep,
Okay. So now we're staring 90 basis points in the face up here, I think. What do you think?
I think so too.
So
Uh,
that's interesting. That's pretty intriguing to me.
yeah.
Um, all right, Lee, let's see what else. Transports we didn't cover yet. Let's do that real
Yeah.
quick. The bounce back in airlines has been pretty instructive here for the transports too. Actually, there's no way the transports could be at this level without the airlines having given us what they've done. Look at the jets breaking.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, we have a request to screen in the transports for some momentum. We can certainly do that.
Really? Sure.
And then we have a question for you, Kevin.
Mm.
Ning in California wants to know what charts you look at to do track the
Well,
interest rate outlook.
the number one thing that I do is I pay attention to what Kathy Jones has to say. That's my number one ace up the sleeve, so to speak. But from a chart standpoint, I track the TNX. I keep a close eye on that because The 10 and the 2 is the area that I want to keep the closest eye on, I guess. I struggle getting detail on the 2, but I try to read as much as I possibly can. But this chart here is the one that I try to keep a close eye on, because what I've noted, Lee, is that there's a pretty good correlation in the 10-year and the return of the XLF.
Yep. All
So
right. Let's
speaking
just.
of that XLF, let's check out the sector action.
Yep.
And it is among our leaders today. So we just had the chart up. I'll do it real quick. But from this stance, Lee, it's all about, again, the 10-day moving average. Okay,
Yeah.
just keep a close eye on the 10. Might need to consolidate now that we've kind of broke into this area up here. So this is kind of intriguing. Getting a nice bounce on the stocks today, Lee.
That's good, because it had been lagging a little bit.
Yeah, it had.
And then boom, the last
this little lag here.
week
This
it's taken off. Yep.
I love it when it lags as it consolidates against its 10-day moving average.
That's right. And then
Quite the lag.
yeah, quite the lag. I mean, it was 5 days. It didn't go straight up, and then now
Yep.
it's taken. I would say a test of the highs is certainly in the cards for sure.
Yeah, that sure feels like it. So the semis, that's interesting. Of course, that's a fun group from a volatility standpoint, and also from a standpoint of kind of forward looking. Knowing that semiconductors are just about every piece of technology we all maintain in your pocket. So, all right.
We got a question from Dean in Indiana. Do you put
Yes.
stops only on the trading portion of your portfolio, or both on the more long term?
Great question.
Yeah. So here is kind of some guidance from Mark Item. He's our CFA CMT one in our group, and what he does is he puts alerts on key levels. So he does not use stops or suggests not using stops on your long-term portfolio, because number one, you should, you're not trading it, you're trying to hold it for some fundamental reason. Now, what he suggests is there are key levels that people follow, like the 200-day. You might want to do an alert that if it drops below one of those levels, you take a look at it. And then you just look at the fundamentals of the business. If it's a dividend paying stock and it hit the 200 and they lowered their dividend, maybe you just dump it. If that's not the case, it's just based on overall market behavior, then you look at the business, their earnings are still about what you thought, then you'd probably keep it. So maybe alerts on the long term, but not necessarily stops. Especially if you have dividend or dividend growth. I mean, to get that income, you got to hold it.
Yeah.
Also, a lot of people, when you're doing on your investing portfolio, it depends on why you bought the stock fundamentally. Okay, if you bought a stock fundamentally for reason X, you would hold it until reason X is not true anymore. Then you take a look at it. But
that makes sense to me as well.
Yeah.
And a reminder, you mentioned you might, if a stock were to cut a dividend, you might move portions of it off or what have you. But Mark's view is very simple on that, isn't it? It's you're dead to me. It always makes me giggle.
Yeah.
If a stock cuts his dividend, he's always willing to move on. If you bought it for the dividend and they cut it, time to move on, is the way that he looked at it. So, good question though, for sure. On the trading side, absolutely manage it diligently. But yeah, it differs quite greatly on the long side for your longer investments.
Yeah, because also remember, if you're trading, you're probably taking bigger positions for shorter term hits, so your risk is larger versus your investment account. You have 25 different positions to get the diversification, and you're not really overweighted in one thing to the extent you would be in a trading position. That's the other thing too.
Good point.
All right, somebody wants to see the IYT.
All right. Well, this will give us a chance to check out some volume details on it and the transports.
Going in the right direction.
As is the RSI. Look at that. Wonderful confirmation from the RSI on this move. Boy, Lee, you could have. This looked like things were going to get really ugly on this day.
Yep.
And it just got bought up, and that was the spot. So 133 to 169, Lee. What a really great move in this group.
Yeah, it looks like the 200 is in the cards for sure.
And you also note the flattening of the 200 suddenly.
Yep.
Starting to flatten out, which is nice to see. So.
All right, let's look at the ones that we have been following too that have been working.
Okay.
XHB.
You got it. There's home builders.
Yeah, we told you about this one a long time ago.
Looking great above the
Yeah.
200. Well
Watch
confirmed
the
above 41.5, and watch that 10-day like you're calling out, Lee.
and look at how three tested the 200. That is a place to set your risk now, definitely.
Yeah, right here at the red line or in the range of the red line, coincident with the 10-day. Yeah,
And
pick
200.
your preferred exit strategy here, right?
Right. We've told you to watch the gaming stocks rather, not the e-gamers. BJK. It's been on a tear. My
Sure
back is
has.
getting sore from having to pat it so often.
Oh, oh, it's good stuff though, Lee. Well,
It
we'll
is.
take it. We'll take it. Yeah, this one's been really great. Obviously, the move here has been held pretty much since back in mid-April. So this
Now, the metals have kind of lost a little bit of their momentum. Let's just take a look at the gold miners.
okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
holding
they're
support.
holding support, but I think the upside momentum on these is waning. Obviously,
As fear leaves.
yeah, but the easy money is probably over right now on these.
Yeah, I think a lot of traders are going to keep an eye on that 50-day,
Right.
the pink line sloping up here, kind of catch these bottoms, coincident with the former breakout level. So, that 50-day looks pretty good as support. If you've been participating, if you've been long, the 50-day, a break of the 50-day to the downside might be a spot where you'd reduce position size.
Yes, indeed. Let us look at energy, which has been doing pretty well lately.
It has. Yeah, you could say
Yeah.
that. This probably looks better against the 20.
Yep.
Sure enough.
Looks like the 20 is how you manage your risk. We're filling that gap. If we can, things are improving for sure. Maybe 200 could be your target there. That'd be a pretty good move.
Yeah, and I have to agree with it, Lee. I think we're right at resistance here. So
Yep.
we get above this. Yes, I think the 200 is the target area here. Um, don't anticipate it to be there next week, but that's where you want to be looking for a target. If we can make that move, that's going to be really great for energy stocks, obviously. And then what? If you look in the energy group, there's some many a stock that look quite like this. So.
All right, let's do our screen. We'll do industrials with all the transportation stocks with a little momentum.
Keto, that sounds good. All right. So all right, now that we're loaded. All right, did you say we wanted entire industrials, or did you want to drill in?
No, well, the request was for like transportation, so let's do
Okay.
it. Let's do transportation infrastructure, truckers and rails, road and rail, and let's do marine too,
Good call there.
and airlines and air freight.
All right. So that's nice and fine. I like that because it really limits. It's just going to limit the group we're finding here, and I like the way we do that. So let's save that. We'll continue to look for those over 10 a share.
Oh, there's only three
Now,
though, huh?
Yeah, that's not good. Let's change that last trade over the 50 though, Lee.
Yeah, let's take that off.
What's going on with my mouse? My mouse is possessed, Lee.
Yeah.
Um, XLI. And then, all right, so the XLI above the 20, above the 10. You want to find those, well, above the 50 though, Lee is, I mean,
Let's
nice
do A,
golf.
Bs, and yeah, let's do A, Bs, and Cs.
There you go.
There we go. That'll
All
give us
right,
more to look at.
that's
And then for the momentum, let's do let's just do the 10-day RSI greater than the 30-day RSI.
all right. Yeah, that worked pretty good yesterday.
Yeah, it did. So there we go. All
All
right.
right, all right. Okay, 21 matches. Let's get into the results. Let's save. Well, let's go ahead and sort and save.
Yeah. Okay. A lot of
Sort,
the airlines are in there.
save, load, etc. Bullish industrials, today's date. Now remember, everybody, if you do it nice and tight like we just did, make sure you change your titles. You know, I titled this one Bullish Industrials, but really it's, you know, it's Bullish Transports even. So you might want to be a little more specific when you're saving your stuff to make it easier on yourself. All right, Lee, which one jumped off the screen at you here?
Let's look at Alaska Air.
Yep.
Yep. It's looking like the group. Good momentum. Use the 10-day moving average. Real short-term support is I would say right there. Yeah, if you wanted to really do it tight, you could do it there. Otherwise, use the 10-day.
Mm-hmm.
The target maybe is the 200. At least some traders would say that.
Boy, Lee, look, RSI, on balance volume, both
Yeah.
looking good. You can check it on an intraday. It's up 6% today. And then look at the way it's held the 20
Mm-hmm.
EMA, Lee.
Yeah.
Such
So
a
you can see that 10-day, 30-day RSI, if you're looking for momentum, is a good way to get it.
mm-hmm. That looks nice. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of the airline stocks that we might check here would look like this. So,
Yeah. So the next one is JB Hunt. Somebody wants
all right, a trucker.
trucker.
Nice setup,
Nice.
Lee.
Oh, look at that. That's a flag with the bottom of the flag at the 10-day.
Yep,
Of course, you do have your near highs there, so you got to take that into account. But
that
you
looks
could buy,
pretty intriguing.
yeah, if you wanted to go long, many traders just say you could buy it right here.
Yeah, that 10 is very interesting to a lot of traders here, you know, and the setup for a long trader is just that, Lee. You just, you know, you're looking at the 10, maybe you buy it and you put a stop below this low here from 2 days back.
Yeah.
And that way you're, you know, you're kind of managing it really tight. But if you do that, that's a nice risk reward ratio opportunity. The other thing that stands out, Lee, with it is that the volume just flew into the move. So when it started to flag, started its flagpole, all the
Yeah.
volume came with it. And that's exactly what you're looking for. All right.
Okay. Several requests for XPO.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, similar situation. Up wonderfully upsloping 10-day. Good looking RSI and OBV.
LBV. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So here, Lee, probably either consider entry, you know, patiently. You might look against the 10-day if you can get it, but you could maybe wait and see if it can just get above this little level here at 84.
Yeah,
And
because
you can really
that's
collect.
resistance from those highs last at the end of last year. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, since it's so close, I mean, what you can always do if you think it's going to break out is buy a little and then add when it actually
Yeah.
breaks out. And then if it doesn't, you don't get whacked too bad. Badly, use an adverbly.
I wasn't going to call you out on that one. I
No.
wasn't going to let that one slide. Lee, we had some requests for ODFL, Old Dominion.
That was the one that you flagged
Yeah, we've been talking about
several
that one.
sessions ago, a couple weeks ago, actually.
Yeah. It's done a really, you know what happened, Lee, if I'm not mistaken, I think it got on my watch list chart or my watch list when we knew it was being added to a major indice, if I'm not mistaken. And
Yeah.
then, and then you watched it break out. And boy, once it got out of this group, Lee, it just started out of this consolidation and choppiness. That's when it started to trend. So for a bit, it used the 10, and then it had to break the 10 and hold the 20, got right back above the 10, and now it's setting itself up here. That this move was an acceleration move that did very, very well. And now that it's retraced and tested the 10 here again, this looks like an interesting spot for another opportunity if you're tight against the 10-day or the lows of the last week here, right in this area of 165. Notice, Lee, as it's broken, look at how the on-balance volume was just cruising here.
Yep.
Just doing a great job.
Yep.
That's a really strong
You
looking
never
chart.
know when the trend is going to stop, but
Right.
again,
That's right.
just carry on.
And he just wanted to give you a little extra time on that. So there you are. That chart looks really good too. So
Yeah. Several
okay.
requests for JetBlue.
Yeah, Lee, the airlines, I tell you, they just
Yeah.
just look.
Well, also, I forget which one said today, but one of the majors said that they're increasing the number of flights for the summer due to increased bookings.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a major positive because we knew that flights were decreased. Not only flights decreasing, but probably to a certain extent the number of individuals on those flights as well. So, if they're actually going to increase not only capacity but increase number of routes, that's a win.
Wow.
And speaking of a win, if you bought this yesterday, you're pretty happy. Trend looks great here against the 10 daily.
Yeah.
In a congestion area.
CSX. Request
Yes.
for that one.
Rail action.
A little bit of an inside day right now. A little
The only
pause in
thing,
a subtrend.
the unbalanced volume isn't exciting me here.
Quite as much as some of the other ones.
Yeah. But that's because I like to be excited, Lee. I mean, I just want everything to tell me, oh, you need to buy this. That's what I like to be told by the indicators. So let's see. So what we're learning is these airlines all look very, very similar and all look very, very interesting.
UAL was another one. I don't know if you looked at that
Yeah,
one.
I don't think we did yet.
Breaking out.
Yep. Can't say much more than that.
Many traders have put a stop under today's low and maybe just a little bit under the high of yesterday.
I would agree with that. It's all about your time frame, of course. But short-term trader for sure likes that. This looks a lot like the JetBlue does, up big today. We had a question about it. Is it too late to buy JetBlue on a move like this today? I mean, that's all about your time frame, of course. I think as a trader, you might want to wait to bust through that resistance spot. Didn't mean to move it. This area right here, because it's right. This is still resistance as I see it, Lee.
Right. Yeah. So basically,
Spot where it breathes, right?
yeah, it could breathe here. Maybe you get a little bit of a pullback. However, you could put a buy stop right above, like, at 13 and just get taken into. Yeah, Carol Montana was saying it was American that is boosting that stuff. Yeah, I knew it was one of them.
Carol. Thank you.
Okay, let's look at the last one with Delta.
Go ahead.
Somebody wants to look at Delta. Probably the same.
Yeah.
You can see that AAL was it wasn't on our list, but because the momentum wasn't as good the last few days as some of the other ones. But they're all looking similar. Just make sure If it's around resistance and you want to buy it, just buy a little and then add if it breaks. And usually the 10-day moving average is where you set the stops. Or if you're swing trading, people often put their stop under the low 2 days ago. Also, that's another technique. And finally, another
Allegedly.
technique for swing trading is some people use the 5-day moving average if you're really short term.
Yeah, and do they do that on? Do you think they do that on the daily, Lee, or do they do that on something like a little more like an hourly chart?
No, they do it on the daily. As a
Do
matter of
they
fact,
really? Wow.
yeah, like IBD. If
Mm-hmm.
I know some of the guys over there, they're swing trading. They have a swing trading platform. They often use the 5-day.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Informative as usual, Lee. Excellent
All
stuff.
righty. And with
Thanks so
those
much.
words of with those words of wisdom, what is coming up next, Kevin?
We have How Do Options Greeks Work? That's with Nina Milovats and Edward Modla. So stick around for that. I believe that's at the top of the hour, if I'm not mistaken, or might be an hour down. Top of the hour, as it turns out, everybody. So you only have a brief respite from us. Check that calendar for everything else, of course. Lee will be back for his daily charting the market segment as usual. But hope you all have a fantastic rest of your trading day. We'll see you in another segment.